Hi, this is Rachel, also known as Ditsy Diamond Painter, and it is Friday the 15th of October, and I'm attempting the 12-hour diamond painting it forward. I was going to do it at the very beginning, putting my first run on this video, but yeah, my laptop needed an update and it wouldn't let the camera work, and so I had to wait for the camera to update. So I just thought I'd plod on. So I started at 9 o'clock this morning. And I have done a couple of other things, like make myself a cup of tea, finding some information out that I needed for this video. So this is what I'm doing for diamond paint. I love this picture. It's such a cute. It just puts that smile on your face, doesn't it? She's lovely, and the week I've had, I need a smile this week, to be honest. So first of all, I'm going to go into why I love this. I mean, what's not to love? There's a cow, there's pink, there's trees and sunshine, and it's a generally happy, even though she's got a sad face. I don't know why she looks confused, I think. I don't know. So, and the first one reason was it's also October, which is breast cancer awareness. So the pink looks good for that, and my family has lost people through breast cancer, so my grandma, which is, I talk about a bit in my kitting up video. So so that's important, and I think it's generally important for women to look after their health, and men, but women as well, because we tend to take the back burner to look after everyone else. I know I do. I'm one of the worst. I'll deal with everything else for with everybody else, but when it comes to myself, I tend to take that step, that step back. So if you have got concerns, go to the doctors. Another one I just wanted to quickly look up was add another one onto that, a new tab. I forgot to look up this morning. So about 1 in every 100 breast cancer cases diagnosed in the United States is found in men. Let me just turn the volume off on my phone. Message Mr. P back. Otherwise he'll phone me. So, oh, that's even higher than I thought, to be fair, because it says it's rare, but 1 in 100. I don't know, I don't think that's as rare as... So, I should have looked that up earlier, but I was looking something else up, which I'll tell you about in a minute. So yeah, men, if you find a lump on your boob, that doesn't mean, you know, get it checked. And if you've got another half, male other half, that's got a lump on the boob, get it checked. Or you can have like scabbing, pain, all kind of things. So I'm not sure if anyone else that's doing I've not really watched any YouTube. Again, I've had not a hectic, but a stressful week this week. So I didn't look up as much as I wanted to, but I did look into, so it's pink for BCA, and then I'm going to talk about the next one, which is grey for not breast cancer, I've just said that. Grey for brain tumour awareness. And the reason why that's really, really important to me is because Mr. P has a brain tumour. He had no symptoms, no headaches, no weakness in one side, nothing. He has he suffers with headaches now, but he never used to. And it all started on the 27th of July 2017. The kids had not long been broken up from school for the summer holidays. It was a work day. I remember that. I can't remember what day, but I remember it was a work day. And I woke up to this horrific noise next to me in bed. So this would have been about 5:30 in the morning. And I turn around. I think unless you've heard someone that's having a seizure or have seen, you know, especially when it's kind of come from nowhere, there was no kind of warnings. I just woke up and he was having this huge seizure by the side of me. He was foaming at the mouth, he was grunting. It almost sounds like a wild animal. So I kind of panicked because I've not experienced seizures before with anybody. I've got no idea what to do. So I shout Andrew, my oldest son, while I'm phoning for an ambulance. because we just didn't know. We didn't know what was happening. So the ambulance, the person on the end of the line, he was amazing. He managed to get, because I just woke up as well. It was kind of, I couldn't process what he was saying. I couldn't process I just couldn't process anything. It was just this big shock. I was an absolute wreck. So they were telling me what to do, and Andrew was with me and he was helping me, because Mr. P's, he's no little dotty man. And we had to take all the pillows off, the blankets, in case he kind of got stuck in them, and it prevented him from breathing, because trying to move someone who's in this solid, it was really hard. He wasn't sick, he didn't wee himself or anything like that, which can happen, I've later found out. So the ambulance, he just started to come around when the ambulance calmed down and come around when the ambulance drivers, paramedics got there. He was kind of sitting up, and his alarm clock had gone off on his phone. Now he thinks he remembers the seizure, because his memory is he switched his alarm off and then he had a seizure, but he had the seizure before he switched the alarm clock off. He doesn't remember any of the seizure. I'll never forget it. So we found, he went off in the ambulance. He managed to walk down the stairs. He managed to get his bearings and whatnot. But Max was only 5. Nicholas was 13. Was he 13? So it's 4 years ago. Nicholas is 17 now. So he was 12, 13. Andrew was 18. But we needed adults. So I then had to phone Mr. P's mum and dad, explain what was going on, and ask them if they could kind of come and watch the kids, get them to school, so I could go straight up the hospital, because I just needed to know he was alright and whatnot. So we went to the hospital. So I went up the hospital and he seemed fine. He was moaning he got a headache, but he seemed fine. He was sitting up, he was moaning he was hungry, he needed to drink a milk. And again, okay, because Mr. P loves his milk. And we seemed to be waiting. He'd had we were waiting for ages, and then he had a scan, just a CT scan, and we were waiting. I mean, we were waiting till 8 o'clock on the night, and they'd forgot to come to him. The doctors had forgot to go. So I'd been going to the nurse, look, I need to go home because I've got 4 kids at home, and there's no information. So the nurse, we was told that originally that we was told from the first, no, they came first and they said that they think he'd had a stroke. Well, Mr. P was 38 at the time, just 38 as well. But they needed, it looked like he'd had a stroke, but there was no, there was no kind of side effects from that, if that makes sense. But they said that they needed, there was definitely something there, but they were sending the copies of the CT scan over to the QE, the Queen Elizabeth, the QE, and for a second opinion. So the nurse managed to get some kind of information, but it wasn't what we was still expecting, you know. We kind of still didn't know what it was. She just said there was something else there. There'd be an appointment coming through from the QE to go and see someone, but they didn't word it in a way that you thought brain tumour or what is it, you know, I don't know. Just that there was something there, but you know, that could be a lot of things. Don't know, it just never registered in my head because they'd said stroke first. I kind of was stuck on that idea, to be honest. And so eventually, about 2 weeks later, we got an appointment to go and see a neurologist. So we went, and the CT scans wasn't clear enough, so he had to have a MRI, so then we had to wait for that. Then the MRI come back, and it was kind of, we had an oncology nurse in there, and as soon as you hear oncology, you kind of just, you poop your pants. It doesn't matter how, you know, many people survive cancer, you get told cancer, you know, as soon as you hear oncology, your heart hits your throat, you know. Max was only 5. And Max was with us, to be honest. Because he wasn't in school. I can't remember why he wasn't in school. It might have been the school holiday, because it was school holidays, that's why. And they told us that it was a brain tumour, and that to further find out what kind of tumour it was, that kind of thing, he'd have to have a craniotomy and have it removed, an awake craniotomy as that, so he was awake for the whole thing. And kind of go from there. So we're given time to, you don't have to do that, you can kind of just monitor it with scans. But you always hear, you know, find out early enough what it is. And we thought it was only a small thing, it was massive. It looked huge on the scans. It's like, it was massive. And so we decided to go ahead with the craniotomy, and he was about 8 hours. So I waited in the hospital. I could have come home really thinking about it, but I didn't. My mum had flew down from Scotland to watch the kids, so I could be at the hospital. And eventually he come out, we went up, and he knew who I was, but he couldn't remember my name, and one side of his face was drooping, which he didn't have when he went in, but that was because he has these seizures where it's just his face and hand go. It's really weird. Not for a long time he hasn't had one of those. For 2 years he's been seizure free with the medication. So that was on the 1st of November 2017. So then, once that had been done, I mean, he was home after 2 days. I was telling them he wasn't coming home at first. I said, there's no way you can be fit to come home. But we did have some really funny moments. So he had to do things like make a cup of tea. Mr. P don't drink tea. And he couldn't work out. Yeah, it was just hysterical. And I was going, you can't make tea. He doesn't make it at home, so he's not going to make it anywhere else. And then we come home, and he couldn't work out why the milk wasn't coming out of the because the first thing he did was have a glass of milk. And he's a man, he's got to be independent, and he thinks he can get back on his feet straight away. And he was trying to pour his milk out, and the lid was still on. So, which sounds horrific, and it was really scary at the time, because it's like they've sent him home, he can't even work out to take a lid off. But yeah, but now I really laugh when I think of it, because he had this big massive bandage around his head, and it must have been really scary for the kids. He was on quite a bit of medication, and but he come round, and then we had an appointment. He was fine for a while, and he seemed to be really recovering, and then sadly we found his mum was really, really sick by the end of November, and the day he found out he started getting seizures, which we think was caused through the stress and the anxiety of it all, and him not really being able to do anything or help out, look after her or anything like that. So we went to see the oncologist, and we booked the appointment for the oncologist, and she got some results, but not all the results from the biopsy from the tumour. They hadn't managed to remove all of it. There's some left in there. So he eventually was diagnosed with a WHO grade 2 oligodendroglioma of left frontal lobe, and it was a grade 2, which was a good thing. If it's a grade 3 one, it's not really fast growing, but this one, the good thing about it was developed within the brain. The brain built his brain did it. It's not like it's not one that's going to spread anywhere else in his body. So then it was kind of, right, you need to start. So the advice was 6 weeks of radiotherapy, and then a PVC or PCV, let me just check, PCV chemotherapy, and so we had to go ahead with that, and that started. So we had his operation on the 1st of November, and he had his radiotherapy, which was every day for 5 days a week for 6 weeks. So that was from the 5th of February to the 21st of March. He did that. And then after that he started chemotherapy from April. This was in 2018 by then, from April, and then he finished that in December. But the chemo that he was doing, he was taking as procarbazine was taken at home. So he had a drip once, was it twice within one session. It could have been once actually. Was it twice? I can't remember now. Well, anyway, he was going, but it was one where he had to. It literally was 10 minutes going in on the drip, but it was prone for burning through the veins and stuff, so he had to be monitored. The nurse couldn't leave him for the whole 10 minutes. And then he had to take a tablet form at home called procarbazine, which was fine for the first 3 rounds. But on the 3rd one he had an allergic reaction. He had like hives really bad. We thought it might have been a bite. So I took him to A&E, and they, and then we spoke to his oncologist. So she said, right, we'll try again. And so we tried it again, and it happened again. And she kind of said, right, you've got to stop taking the procarbazine. We don't know how that's going to affect the outcome of the chemo. On how, because at the moment it's kind of doubled his life expectancy. So it's normally 5 to 6 years, and now it's 8 to 10 years. So they don't know how not being able to take the procarbazine will affect that. But we kind of go ahead as if, it's done its job. There's nothing more we can do. So he's doing well. He's been stable now for 4 years. So. And she said, the next time, she said it's strange how it works. You can have, it, and it does nothing, and then for some strange reason your body will have an allergic reaction. So he had to stop taking that, which he was kind of chuffed about, because they made him feel a bit rough, to be honest. And then so we did the chemo, and he finished on the 18th of December. So he was, he wasn't worrying about having to go to the hospital or anything for over Christmas, which was nice. So, it's hard. Don't get me wrong. There are days when how can I put it? You kind of look on life as if you've just got to get on with it. So many different things can happen in the next, few years, and as long as he's stable, he managed. The one thing he struggled with was he lost his licence because of having the seizures, but they've managed to control the seizures now, so he's managed to get his driving licence back. So he's driving, and he's gone back to work. I mean, he works outside, and he works with strimmers and hedge cutters, and all the rest of it. He kind of maintains the grounds for council. so he can't be left on his own to work, just in case. But you know, he just gets on with it and does what he can. But we think the side effects that we've had is he has short-term memory problems. Obviously the seizures was one, but it's the things that come along with that. So he had a massive seizure and got trapped in the toilet, so he's kind of claustrophobic, because he couldn't get himself up, and he thought I was there and all sorts, and I wasn't. I'd gone back to work. So he, you know, he's meticulous with taking his medication, because there's an issue with he can't remember if he's took it or not. So it's kind of, he sets alarms and he takes it at that exact time, so he knows that he's had it, or if he hasn't had it, or he'll kind of go to me, I've had my medication, so I know he's took it, that kind of thing. He gets lost really easily in places he doesn't know. What else? Yeah, and anxiety, and you know, I mean, he fights through it like a trooper, bless him. I am proud of him. I mean, he's gone back to work and everything, and if that was me, I don't know if I could have done that, but he did. And I think it's the best thing for him, because he's, you know, something to get up for in the morning, isn't it, when you go to work and stuff like that. But that's how I ended up doing diamond painting. And it's weird, because it was kind of after he'd had his chemo, but while he was recovering from chemo, and fatigue, extreme fatigue is another one he's never recovered from, which we think's the chemo caused that. And medication again as well, his seizure meds. I was kind of at home with him constantly, and he was constantly sleeping, and it was kind of, I was sitting there, I was reading a lot of books, I'll be honest. I was reading a lot of books. I didn't go out very far and for longer amounts of time, and that's where I found, I was looking for a cross stitch kit, to be honest, and then I found diamond painting. And since then, he has kept my sanity. When I first started it, I would be sitting in the living room and I had a lap tray table, and then afterwards it's when Mr. P kind of became more stable, stopped having seizures, and that's when I got my desk to have in the dining room. So that's the story of our Mr. P's diagnosis and how we got there, and I think the hardest thing sometimes was the waiting, because we knew we had to have a craniotomy in the September and it was the November, you know, it just just wanted it over and done with and find out what was going on. And it's hard, and I think sometimes that's the hardest thing, was the waiting and the, you know, it's, you know, when you find other people. I mean, it was lucky because, I mean, there was some other people that were going through exactly the same kind of treatments as John, and they had you know, really bad reactions to the chemo, and they were getting really sick from it. It was really strange because Mr. P lost all of his hair, because you automatically think you lose your hair with every chemo, and you don't. But Mr. P had lost all his hair having chemotherapy. Not chemotherapy, radiotherapy caused the loss of his hair. Because obviously it's on the brain, it's on the head, so it lost all his hair. And it grew back when he had his chemo. And there was things like, you don't think of chemo and things that you shouldn't eat. And there was things like chocolate on there, and Mr. P never used to like chocolate. He loves chocolate now. What else couldn't he eat? Really strange things. Cheese was one. Yogurt was another one. Yeah, it was really strange. The thing, you don't think that you have a dietary requirement when, but he didn't. He had one tablet that he had to take that could cause sickness, but we had loads of anti-sickness stuff to take. It was a hard time. We had to go all the QE all the time. And then you find it shocking, and how many people are, you know, when you're going onto the cancer ward and there's just, it's that full that there's, you know, you're waiting 6 hours to have your treatment, and so you know, it's you sometimes, you know, you can feel lost in your own kind of pain and worry and anxiety, and then you see other people and think, well, be grateful, you know, we've got years, we've not, you know, he's not lost his mobility, he has got some kind of damage from the radiotherapy, but it's not from the surgery or anything like that. And you know, there's other people that end up paralysed and no time left at all, and so we're lucky. We are lucky. It's not what you would wish on anybody, but at the same time it could have been worse. That's why you got to look at it, I think. So that's the story of Mr. P. So now he has 6 monthly scans, MRIs, to see, to check that there's no change. I don't even know what would happen if there was any. I mean, hopefully he's got another 4 years before anything, at least. But the way I look, oh, excuse me, one moment. And I'm back. That was my mum. I don't even know where I've put everything. I don't even know what I'm doing. Can't even remember what I was talking about. What I do and I can't remember what I was saying. So So yeah, I don't even know how long I've been recording. You can't tell on my laptop. We've done this. So I am planning it now. Actually, I'm going to say it now. DP grey in May. Now, there is a thing. There is 2 brain tumour kind of things going on throughout the year. So one is, I have wrote this down. There's a brain tumour awareness month in March, and that's you wear a hat on a certain day. I can't remember what day it was. Why haven't I wrote that day? And that one's more towards the research side of brain tumours and whatnot. And then there's Wear Grey in May, especially on the 27th of May. So I think I'm going to do a DP Grey in May event, and I will find more facts about, because I only really know about Mr. P's tumour. I don't know about others, but I'll find some facts out, and you know, we mean Mr. P, the amount, you know, there's a couple of other people we know with brain tumours, and you know, there are different kinds, and some have shunts that they drain, and others have it's just there and it's not doing anything. It's not going to do anything, and so that's my plan. So, and then on the 27th of May I might do a 12-hour diamond paint grey thing. I'm going to wait till after Christmas before I get more in depth. At least right after Christmas. There's too many, and I've just added one. So now we will go on about some fun things that have happened on the farm. We used to, and that's where the joy comes from this painting. The dairy farm that we used to visit on at my aunt's farm, my great aunt's farm. She was my dad's aunt. Just find out, and we used to have so much fun. We used to catch river boatmen out the water troughs. We used to go and we used to go. I'll ramble all over the place. I can't be. There's just that many things to think about, and I think it's just nice to have happy stories to say. And like I said, it is one thing that I wish that my kids. I'm sad that my kids don't get to experience, and really appreciate that I managed to experience them. So we used to get up in the morning. It would be still dark even in the summer. Well, not quite dark, but it wasn't, you know, it wasn't light. And the first thing we would do is go and let the chickens out and run around in the orchard, and we would collect the eggs from the chickens, And I remember Mrs. Meg. Positive her name was Mrs. Meg. She was the only white chicken, Mrs. Meg. And we would collect the eggs, and then we would go and put the eggs away, and then we used to go and let the geese out. They were we were petrified of them geese. They were really scared. They're like guard dogs, them things. They are really scary, geese are. They're really vicious. I remember my sister running down the field screaming. It was only little. And then we would go and get originally it was Miss Darling. Miss Darling was a beautiful cow. She was creamy brown colour. And we would get the stall. Feed the horses, that was another one we used to do. There was horses on there. We would get the stall, and we would all have a go, get the milk bucket, and we would all have a go of hand milking Miss Darling. And then it changed to Miss Ellie, who was Miss Darling's daughter. And we would get the bucket of milk, feed her, let her out in the field. She had other cows as well, but they were all different breeds, and she had chocolate brown ones and white ones and all kinds of different coloured cows. And they all had their own personal names. None of them, there wasn't a number, there wasn't a. So there was Milk Chocolate Rose, and if one was born while someone was visiting, they would be named after the person that was visiting. And there was a calf called Gumdrops, and and she'd walk in the field, and all these cows would just come trundling up to her, and they'd follow her wherever she went. So we would then go and take the bucket of milk back down to the house, and then we would pour that milk into a big huge crock dish, and then we would pull so we'd pull it into the dish, and then we would pull out the dish from the day before. We would pull out, we'd put the fresh dish in, and then we would scoop the fresh cream off the top of the big bowl from the day before, and we would put that cream in another bowl, a small bowl, and then it would all go back in. So then the milk would go in jugs, and then we would have some cream would be saved, and she would make cream out of that cream. So she'd scoop the cream off the cream, if that makes sense. And then we would have fresh bread in the morning, and this would all be done by like 8 o'clock. We would have all sit around the table, all of us together, and it was this big massive dining table with a Lazy Susan in the middle, and it would have the sugar bowl that my brother broke on there, and it would have the toast on the toast rack, and it would have fresh butter, and it would have if you think now, it's unpasteurised milk. 1 minute, I think the dog's got outside and he's barking. Be back in a minute. at you. You're not coming in here. Thank you. And I'm back. Yeah, so, and then we would all us kids, my mum, my dad and Auntie Beth, my Uncle Jeremy if he was there, and we would all sit around the table and we would be there forever. Breakfast lasted forever. It was and she would literally tell us stories, because even though she was in a farm in Sussex, my dad's family are originally from Birmingham anyway, and she would talk about how they used to ride the horse and cart through Birmingham centre, and how once she was horse riding, and it was pitch black because it was blacked out because of, it was in the middle of the war, and they was watching the bombs, and she, every time she had a different story to tell you, and then from back in the day, so to speak, and then different stories of her family, and then different stories about my grandpa, who turns out was a very naughty boy, and even if it was the same, you'd heard that story already, you just loved listening to it again and again and again. And none of us would want to leave the breakfast table, or we just wanted to listen to Auntie Beth laughing, telling us things that from when she was young, and how things were different in Birmingham when she used to live there, and and that's lovely. It's lovely that we've got them memories to carry on for her, if that makes sense. And she was always having visitors, and we did a family Christmas where all of the Waltons went for Christmas. That was fun. But we could swear as kids that house was haunted. We was all petrified. None of us would sleep on our own when we were little. We could swear there was someone there. It was a really old farmhouse. So yeah, and she'd take us to Drusilla Zoo, and every visit she'd give my mum and dad the day off and take us out for the day, and take us to the park. Yeah, she was a lovely lady. She only ever told us off once, I say, and it was, she had this room called the Bazaar, and it was just full of everything, and she had gone to get changed and dressed for school, and she was looking in her wardrobe in the Bazaar for her shoes, I think, at the bottom of the wardrobe, and she bent over and she farted, and it sounded like, when you get a balloon and you only let the air out the end really slowly, and it kind of makes this real, like a, it was like that. Well, me and my brother, we were absolutely wetting ourselves. We really thought it was, because we've just got that grimy sense of humour. And she turned around and she shouted at us, "There is no need for laughter. It is a natural thing that the body does." And we kind of got shocked because she never told us that before. And we were always laughing at farts. So, but we never did it again. We never laughed at any kind of natural gas moments in front of Auntie Beth again. It put us in our place. So, yeah, what more can you have to end off a video for diamond painting it forward? So that is me done for this video. I've probably got to, oh, I am going to put a link in for, I have listened to another video. I'm going to put Lisette, obviously Lisette, who is the beautiful lady that is doing Lisette's Crafts and Tales, which is doing, she's the one that's organised diamond painting it forward, and I think it's just a really nice concept, and I like the idea of just diamond painting and thinking of others almost, isn't it really, and thinking that a lot, you know, it's a really nice idea. It's not kind of one aimed at one area. It doesn't have to be a new start. It doesn't, you know. It's just thinking of others. Well, yeah. So we've done that, I think, today. I spoke about Mr. P and the struggles that he's been through and still going through, and I thought, you know, joy and happiness and things that make you laugh at the end of it when you look back. So just finish this little section. There's a lot of multi-placing in this one, obviously, which is not lovely. I don't know how much I've going to get done of her. I mean, I've been interrupted by the phone because dear Mama has phoned me, and then I've got to pick Max up and take him to see Grandad so we can have a play with the pup. I won't be finishing this till 10 tonight, I don't think. But it is what I call F-It Friday. So it's only sandwiches or something for tea, which I tend to make them do. They are 15, 17 and 9. So they're quite capable of making a sandwich and raiding the cupboards. So there we go. And that's that little section done there. I'm not quite finished with the colour, but you don't want me on here all day. And I hope you've enjoyed, well, not enjoyed, but learned something from this video. Maybe learned a bit more about me. And yeah, and if you're diamond painting today, it doesn't matter what it is, it could be just a pretty picture to you, but just give a thought to someone you love and care about, or someone that's, you know, maybe going through a bit of a rough time at the minute. Anyway, that's me for today, and I hope you've enjoyed this video, and I hope to speak to you soon. Bye.